Year-old on the sideline and just falling in love with the game of football. So it's cool for me to be here, and I know especially tonight as you guys kick off the season. So it's an honor and a privilege for me to be here. And again, thank you guys for coming and having us out. But a couple things I want to talk about is really the tradition and then kind of the illusion of choice that you guys might think you have. So one, tradition here. Obviously, this school I walk in and I see Tim Couch, who was, a role model for me as a kid. Looking up to him, I remember reading old newspaper clippings and papers of why I wore the number 2 when I did at Minnesota. And ironically, at Minnesota, we're maroon and gold, and Eagles are maroon and gold, and you guys have these sweet uniforms on tonight. But you guys have a rich tradition here, and the name carries more weight than you might think it does. And I know a lot of people are going to associate different things with it, but if you say, I grew up in Northern Kentucky, I actually went to Hazard High School for my first 2 years. Don't hold that against me. So I went to Hazard my first 2 years of high school and then went back to Northern Kentucky at Ryle High School. And if you said anything about Leslie County, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's where Tim Couch went. So no matter what you might think or believe, the name that you carry, that you wear across your chest, holds weight, and it means a whole lot more than what you think it does. And so that tradition here is really rich. And I'll go on to talk a little bit about, my father and my family. My dad went to high school here, played football here, and he passed away two and a half years ago with brain cancer. And the last days of his life, he was in a wheelchair, getting rolled around, very strong spirits. But physically it was getting to a point where it was kind of hard to see, but the people that were there for him were his high school teammates. The guys that he strapped up with on Friday night. And I love football. I didn't talk to my dad at all about what he did. He didn't do anything great. He wasn't a great player. He was a good player. He was a kicker, a guard, linebacker, did it all. But he didn't have all these records. He didn't have a Tim Couch legacy at Leslie County, but he had relationships that he built in high school with people that lasted his entire life. And at the moment where he was passing away and his life was coming to an end, those were the people who were there for him, to reminisce on old stories, to talk about the future and talk about things that will come when he's not even here. So the relationships that you are making and creating right now really matter more than you think they do. In my life, I'm 25. I probably look a whole lot older than 25 because I'm blessed with no hair. That's in the Morgan family bloodline. But one of the things for me, I was blessed to play in college and have great relationships there, but I have relationships with my friends that I played in high school with that I know will be there for my entire life. And it's not like 18 guys, it's about three to 5. Really 3 to 4 dudes that I can call and talk about anything with. So the relationships that you're making right now really matter. And so that's kind of like one of the things that I want to start with is the tradition, the name that you're wearing, the school that you go to, right? Like it matters. There's a rich tradition here and you have a responsibility to carry that, but also make that even better and leave it better than when you walked in as a freshman, right? Because there's a responsibility as a student athlete, as a student here, to leave it better than you found it. When you walk in as a freshman, the school should look better when you leave it as a senior. And that should be something that you carry. As a football player, the program should look better as a senior than it did when a freshman. And that doesn't necessarily mean wins and losses. That means how you impacted the community, your character, how you impacted the school, the ripple effect that happened because of your football team or your group or your social club. Does that make sense? Like there's a ripple effect that carries with that. And so we're going to get into kind of just this illusion of choice. Many of you might think that you're not a role model. Well, I'm just this. I'm just a kid from Eastern Kentucky. I'm just that. Well, that's wrong. There's this illusion of choice that no matter how you slice it, you're a role model to people in your life, whether you think you are or not. It might be to 3 people, it might be to 10, but you're a role model. It might be to 10,000. People look up to you and they look at your actions about what you did. Okay, so as a role model, there's a difference between influence and impact. We all have influence in life. Whether we think we do or not, we are given influence over some people in our lives. Now, with that impact, we have the choice of how that goes. We can have a positive impact on other people or a negative impact. So you're a role model, whether you think you are or not. You have influence over people, whether you think you do or not. But how you use that influence is up to you. You can make a positive impact on somebody's life that'll carry longer than you think, that might carry for 50 years like my father, and then when he's dying, he has his best friends that he didn't talk to a lot over the years. It's not like they talked every day on the phone, but showed up for him when he was on his deathbed. Does that make sense? Right? And I believe this, the more that you have a positive impact on people, I'm a man of faith, the good Lord's going to give more influence to you. I believe that wholeheartedly. So if you ever put yourself in this box of, well, I'm just a kid from Leslie County, okay, who cares? Why use the word just? Or I'm just the backup, I'm not going to play tonight. Like, it doesn't matter, I'll stay up till midnight tonight. Okay, until you get the chance to get on the field, and then your opportunity comes and you blow it. Right? Like, so don't put yourself in a box of saying, well, I'm just this person, I can only do these things, I can just do that. Right? Because in reality, you have an impact over people, and you're not just what you think you are. Does that make sense? You don't follow that? And then there's this illusion of choice when we're in a group or a team and with ourselves personally. So, like, here's the reality. Like, as a person, we probably all have dreams of things that we want to do, right? Like, if I had you sit right here and write down on a piece of paper what your dream is, you guys would all write stuff down. You'd have something that pops up in your mind immediately. You might even be afraid to write it down on a piece of paper because you think somebody would laugh at you. Here's the thing. I'm more concerned about habits than dreams. I think dreams are amazing, right? Like, you should have dreams. They should carry you into all these different other things. But if you show me what your habits are, I'll show you what your reality is going to be. But if you have dreams and your habits actually match the reality of reaching that dream, most of the time you're going to blow that dream out of the water. That's as an individual football player, as an individual person, whatever you want to do in life, whatever it is, as a group, collective team. You guys probably have a dream to win a district championship, win a regional title, win a state title. Awesome. Just because you say it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Right? I'm more concerned about what you actually do. What are your actions? And not just when you're on the field or in a locker room or in a classroom, but what do you do when you're outside of your coaches? What do you do when you're outside of your teachers? What do you do when you're on your own and nobody else is watching? But when you wake up every morning and you go to sleep every night, you're going to look at a mirror, and the only person that can lie to that mirror is yourself. And you're going to know when you say, oh yeah, I did everything I could today to be successful. You'll know deep down inside if you're lying or if you're telling the truth. Because guys, there's going to be a voice that comes tonight. You're playing Friday Night Lights against Prestonsburg, week 1 kickoff. There will be a voice that comes in your head, and it might have already happened, that says, am I prepared enough? Am I ready enough? Am I really ready to play tonight? Like, because it happened for me, guys. I started 47 games in the Big Ten. And every time before kickoff, a voice would come in my head and say, you're not really ready. You didn't really actually work hard. You're not ready to do this. Like, you just checked the box. And I could say to that voice, yeah, shut up. Yes, I did. I'm ready. I slept better than you. I worked out better than you. Like, I'm ready. I watched all the tape I needed to watch. Whatever my process was, I could tell that voice that I'm ready. Y'all follow me on that? Because the only person that knows is you. Whether you put in enough work to get the grade that you deserve on the test or not. Or you show up for the test and say, oh, Lord, I hope I get a grade to pass here because I didn't really study. I hope my natural ability carries me through here. Show up to a Friday night, I didn't watch any film. I didn't really even listen to what coach was saying in practice, but I'm good enough to get away with it. Cool, that might be true. That might be true tonight. It might be true for the next 2 weeks until you face an opponent that you're not more naturally gifted than. Guys, I was never, listen, okay. Me personally, if you looked at me statistically on paper, I should have never started as many games as I did in the Big Ten. I was 6'1.5", which is well below average. I ran a 4.97 40 at my pro day. I had a very average arm. I wasn't really fast side to side. I was strong. Okay, but I worked harder than the guy next to me. And I was a really good leader, and I had a lot of good, what they say, intangibles. Okay, but the only reason that happened was because God put me into those positions, and I worked hard when the opportunity came. But I wasn't the most gifted guy. I wasn't a 5-star recruit. I was a 3-star recruit that was lucky enough to get to the Big Ten. I was supposed to go to the MAC. And at the last second, I ended up going to Minnesota because the coach that I was committed to went to Minnesota, and he said, hey, you want to come with me? And I said, sure. But I was never, like, this guy that, oh, if you watched him throw, oh, he's got a cannon. No, yeah, he's got a good arm, like good enough. But like I found a way to win. And I think that's applicable in every area of life. Like we can find ways to win when we might not be the most gifted in that area. But the more you work at it and the more you apply it to your life, you're going to find a way to beat your opponent and whatever that is. And oftentimes our opponent in life is ourselves, is the own voice that we listen to in our head. Does that make sense? So like collectively as a football team tonight, you start your journey tonight. But in reality, that journey started in January, didn't it, Coach? Right? So you're at, like I think about, like football season's what, 10 guaranteed games, but I think about it in different quarters. And you got your quarter one of off season where you're just grinding in the weight room. Quarter two, got a little spring ball. Quarter three, you're in summer, you're preparing. Quarter four is the real season. And you work all those quarters for the actual season. Okay, well, you're actually here. You're actually at the game tonight. You actually have arrived to the moment where it matters. But if you just coast through the moment, it'll go by like that. You're only guaranteed 10 opportunities to play this game. 10 opportunities for this team to leave a legacy of whatever it wants to be. And before you know it, in 2 seconds, half the season's going to be gone. And you only got 5 more games, and then 2 more games, and then 1 more game, and then it's gone. It's over. And some of you might not ever play the game again. Or you might not be involved in that sport again. Or that thing again that you're so attached to, whatever it is. So if you only have so many opportunities, like we all have the same amount of time in life, what are you doing to maximize it? How do you prepare for the game? Like how are you going to prepare leading up to the kickoff at 7 p.m.? How are you going to prepare for the test? How are you going to prepare for what you want to do after? Because if you want to be the person that you really say you want to become, if you want to be the team you really say you want to become, if you want to be the school you really say you want to become, there's really only one choice. And what is that choice? That choice is to actually do the work, which is the process. And we can break that down in a couple of ways. Again, like habits. Build elite habits now that'll carry you for the rest of your life. Okay, so we can talk about like habits over dreams. And like the only choice that we really have, if we want to do the things that we say we want to do, is to put in the work and have a good process. And the first part of that is really who are we? You as a school community, our family, which what does that mean? It means forget about me, I love you. That's something my coach taught me. Really, what does that mean? Forget about me, I love you. It's putting others' needs before your own. Looking to serve others first and then yourself second. Right? There's a saying that says leaders eat last. Right? If you guys have a line for, you guys ever had like Thanksgiving dinner? Right? Grandma's cooking, she's doing the whole thing. She's probably the last one to eat, isn't she? She's giving everybody else a plate. No, honey, you go eat. No, you need to eat first. And as a kid, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll fill up my plate first. And she's the last one to eat when she's the one who did all the work to make it happen. Right, that's a leader. Leaders are the last one to eat because you know what they're doing? They're serving other people first above themselves. That's what you are as a team, as an individual, and as a school community, is look to serve others before yourselves. And that's countercultural to the society we live in today where people say, do what's best for you and you only. Oh, you don't like it? Transfer. You don't like it? Quit the sport, play a different sport. Oh, you don't like that coach because he said one thing mean to you because he wants to hold you accountable, wants you to be the best player and person you can be? Oh, just quit. It's countercultural, but how are you going to serve other people better than yourself? Does that make sense? And that's kind of all, like, what life comes down to is like, how are we serving others? Because the more you serve other people, the more you're going to get in return. I believe that wholeheartedly. The more you look to serve and pour into other people, you're going to get it back. It's going to come back to you in ways completely unexpected. And then another thing is this, like, what do you do? Like, what? Okay, you trust each other. How do you trust each other? 3 things: time, consistency, proof. All right, over time, right? You guys are coming to a Friday night game tonight. Well, you've learned to trust each other through January, February, March, April, May, June, July. You've learned to trust your teachers over time. You've learned to trust your administrators over time, right? But also in that time, that there's some consistency. Coach isn't going to put you on the field tonight if you haven't been consistent in practice. If you mess up in practice, why should there be anything else expected in the game? Right? So you have to be consistent with what you're asked to do. The last thing is proof. Right? There's proof that I'm a trustworthy person because if I say I'm going to do something, I actually do it. If I say I'm going to be in the A gap, I'm in the A gap. If I say I'm going to turn in the paper on Friday, I turn it in on Friday. If I say I'm coming over to your house Thursday night, I'm coming over to your house Thursday night to study for the test. Because I say, like, my actions match my words. And that's how I can become a trustworthy person and serve you more than I serve myself. And a couple other things is like, well, okay, where are we headed as a community? Like, as a community, as a school, as a team, as a person, I'm headed to success. What does success really mean? We all have different definitions of success. Success is just the peace of mind. The peace of mind I get knowing that I did everything I could to be at my best, that I left no stone unturned, that I studied hard enough, that I put in the work, that I made meaningful relationships. That's all success is. Success isn't measured on a scoreboard or on a test. Success is measured in peace. Because I can walk in peace knowing that I did everything I could to be successful. Understanding that the result isn't up to me. Does that make sense? And a couple other things like, well, when are we going to get there? Now. There's no better time than now to do it. As a community person and a team, you have to be able to step forward and do it now. And then why and how. Okay, so why do I want to serve others first? Why do I want to do this? Two things. It's your personal mission. So why are you here? Why do you do it? Why do you look to impact other people? Why do you play football? Why do you play basketball? Why do you come to school every day? And then why collectively? Like, collectively, what's your why? Like, what's the mission and the vision of the team? What's the mission and the vision of the school? How are we going to do that? It's an unconquerable will. Knowing that there's going to be a lot of other things that come our way that we might not be able to affect. Things that are going to show up randomly that we think, okay, how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to make an impact here? How can I change this? How can I do that? Okay, cool. I'm going to attack it with everything that I have, knowing that the result's not up to me, and I'm going to give it my best. So again, it comes down to this. There's an illusion of choice. If you want to become who you say you want to become, if you want to be the team you want to say you want to be, if you want to be the school you say you want to be, there's really not that many choices. There's only one. Because our world's going to say you have all these choices. You can do all these different things, which I think is great. You can have all these different choices of what you want to eat, what you want to cook. TikTok's going to say this, Instagram's going to say that, YouTube will say that, and then Twitter's going to say something different. There's all these choices. In reality, if you actually want to do what you say you want to do, if you actually want to become the person that you dream of becoming, the only choice is to put in the work and be about the process. That's all I got. I appreciate you guys.